started this plan, the biggest thing we wanted to do is make sure that we talked about what was important to the young people in our community, and we went through a bunch of stuff. We put like big mind maps, everything, and what we came down to was about the rights of the child, and more specifically the UNCRC. So I'll let you continue from that, Ty.
So we realized that not many of us actually knew what the UNCRC is. So we started by looking into that, really looking into what it says, all the different articles, and seeing which of them seemed more important or more interesting to look into for us. So for us, that was Article 29, and that's all about the rights of education. And we felt that our school lives really centre everything that we do, so we decided to look into that.
We spoke with our youth parliament convener.
We're talking about Article 29.
So Article 29 works in conjunction with Article 28, and so Article 28 is the right to education, and then Article 29 is the aims of education. So it's backed up by Article 28, but it delves more into what education should be for young people, and it focuses on making sure that young people grow into people who have a good skill set, hobbies, talents, can fulfill those hobbies and talents to the best of their abilities, while also being respectful of other people, learning about their own culture, other people's cultures, and just being a well-rounded individual that doesn't have prejudice against other people and is just knowledgeable of other people's situations and experiences.
What does Article 29 mean to you?
It means that education shouldn't be primarily focusing on how good you are at adding two and two together or writing what you're meant to write. It's about making sure that you're a person who is, like I said before, respectful of other people, and that you're entering the world as an individual who has their own individual ideas. And again, it's just respectful of other people. So, it means a lot to me.
What do you do in relation to Article 29 in our community?
So in my role as the youth convener, the right, I forget again, don't quote me on this, but one of the rights is to have their voice heard or their interests heard. And so that's the primary focus of the youth convener role, is upholding people's views and interests and issues in their communities. But like I say, I've tailored my year to align with Article 29 quite a bit.
We spoke with our schools, and they agreed that we could make a sketch using their words, just to make it more fun.
Hello, do you consent to being filmed?
I do consent to being filmed.
Okay, great.
So, what do you do in relation to Article 29 in our school?
That's a big question.
It is. Yeah.
Well, my job as a teacher is just generally to aid pupils in developing themselves, developing their moral character, developing their abilities and skills to survive out with the school, developing their self understanding of themselves and their ideals, developing their skill sets so that they can make it out there. And also when I do come across misguided opinions, I try to engage in discussion with the pupil to understand why they think that and maybe what they're missing out or misunderstood, or trying to kind of, again, push that kind of empathy element with them to try and talk them through how that sort of thing isn't really acceptable. It can be quite negative, it can be hurtful, to try and not go like, oh, that's bad, don't do that, but actually talk through them, because otherwise you're just pushing it down doesn't usually help. You need to talk it through with them for them to actually change their minds.
People need to understand.
Yes, people need to understand, otherwise they will just kind of go, oh, I'm getting told off.
So I'm old enough, right, to remember a very different world in education, and when schools were focused, and there are things have happened since I was in school that are good, and things have happened, I think, since I was in school that are bad. So the general order and discipline and purpose in a school was much better when I was in school. Night and day difference. So there was just there was a level of respect for authority and for adults that isn't there in most pupils now. And that also filtered through to a level of respect for peers, I think, as well. There was still bullying, there always has been, but I think that life is tougher for you guys now in school because there's less respect. I also think, and this might seem kind of not where you're going with this, but I also think that one of the things that's gone most wrong in education is that in many ways the children are in charge. Okay, and by that what I mean is, if a child says I don't want to do that, then they don't have to do it. Now, when I was in school, you didn't even get that choice. Now, I'm not saying that's always a good thing, because some of the things that we did probably weren't.
What does Article 29 mean to you? So I think a lot of that's just scrap what the textbook says. How would you read it?
So, to be honest, Article 29 is probably one of the reasons where I have spent more than 30 years of my working life in a school. So I started out as an English teacher, and after a relatively short time as an English teacher, I realised that I wasn't going to be able to talk about Lady Macbeth for the next 30 years of my life. But I also know that people can be successful in life without qualifications if they have got skills and they know their strengths in things beyond exams. And that's the development of the skills and the abilities and the talents of young people.
We want to interview more people, such as the Children's Commissioner for Scotland and also the MSPs at Holyrood. We want to take our understanding and research out to schools to speak to young people and ask them about their rights. Do you know what your rights are?